Reddit.
7:37 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time and Jim.
In Woodstock, a crash with injuries is reported on 14 at Heartland Road, I-55 northbound. We see major delays. Renwick Road past Weber with a wreck blocking 2 left lanes. There's also a crash reported before Weber in that jam. And southbound, it's slow going past 53 to before Weber. Farther north, the inbound Stevenson, a little bit lighter with delays central to Kedzie. It's 33 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Inbound Kennedy, 43 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, 31 from Montrose, 22 in the Express, outbound 26 to the airport. The Eisenhower on 47 minutes, 390 to downtown, 32 from Wolf, outbound 28 to 390. Ryan, 25 minutes, 95th to downtown. I'm Jim Palamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast, clouds and sun with a thunderstorm that could crop up in the midday, warm and humid, high 84. Currently 71. Next news coming up at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey.
Mike Madigan runs the Democratic House floor for 30-plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out.
Dun, dun.
I said, when you're moving out.
That is what has become a signature song of this show, brought to you by our friend Tim O'Donnell, who actually moved out.
Oh, he did?
He's in Tennessee now.
Oh, lucky lottie lotta.
And that means it's time for Ted Dabrowski. Ted, we'll bring you in on this conversation. You can referee it if you'd like. Ted Dabrowski, president of Wirepoints, wirepoints.org. Amy would like to up our bet, or have a chance to up our bet.
I want to start over.
Right. Right now, the bet is $100 that Governor Pritzker will not run again. She doesn't think he will run again. I know he is going to run again. She would like to make that $100,000 based on late-breaking information she has. And here's what I'll do for you.
What?
It's real simple. You get me a proof of funds letter, and we'll talk about that $100,000.
Shoot.
What
about a used minivan?
That is not market. That is not $100,000. You can continue piling up goods and.
Okay, well, let me just, can I defend myself here? First of all, Governor Pritzker went on with Craig Wall and dropped the ball, dangled the little carrot in front of people.
It's a long decision process. This is a hard job. It takes you away from your family quite a lot. That is part of the job that I haven't enjoyed, is being away from my kids, and my wife.
Kids and my wife. No, she knows where she stands. And then he went on Channel 2.
I haven't talked to my family completely about this, and I need to spend time with them. Had to have that conversation.
So what I was told by an insider, and Dan loves my insiders because I never tell him who they are, that the Democrats don't want him to run again because he's a liability.
Is that right?
They're worried that more maybe nursing home deaths are going to be revealed. Mm-hmm. His knee-jerk reactions to COVID when he shut everything down, destroyed businesses, destroyed our children's lives, didn't let us play sports, then took away, extracurricular, what do you call it? Oh, my God, I can't.
Extracurricular
Not
activities?
Extracurricular, just travel sports, excuse me,
Oh, okay.
club sports. Uh-huh. And he's also realizing that the job is more than he signed up for. I mean, he was going away for Thanksgiving. And Marianne Ahern and I called him out. And then the next day he came and said, no, I've got to stay here and stop harassing my family. And you're putting my family's lives at risk. That's why they're in Florida. But it's because of his draconian measures that they fled to the free state of Florida.
Mm-hmm. That's the sum total of your case? You want to put $100,000 on that case you have from your inside source, which is...
He's not going to run.
which is laughable. You want to, based on what you said, that argument, you put $100,000 on that. Ted, you want a piece of this action?
Yeah, I'm with you, Dan. This is shucks. This is tough. They're getting to do everything they want. They've passed every policy they've wanted and more. And you can look at it from sex ed classes to the closing of schools, everything they've wanted. And I think this is just a
publicity
shucks. So that, please ask me to come back, kind of thing.
A Ogden and Fry poll conducted June 4th and June 5th, this past Friday and Saturday.
Yes.
752 respondents, plus or minus 3.65%. The approval rating for one JB Pritzker.
Oh, my God. What is it?
57.5%. So 57.5% approval rating plus $35 million in the bank as an opener. He spent $150 million last time, and he could do that again easily, and then some, and he will. So you want to put $100,000 on your argument, do you?
Fine, I'll go back to 100.
I'm not done. Rich Miller, who is much closer to these two tubs of goo than I am, I ran into the First Lady last week at a Springfield restaurant. She told me how she'd taken the staff roller skating at a local rink and said she wanted to host a legislative roller skating night during next spring session. Does that sound like someone who isn't happy with the lifestyle? Pre-pandemic, she regularly attended plays put on by women prisoners at Logan Correctional Center, actively supports the prison's culinary program. She's about to host a big reception for the new executive director of the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum. Yes, her teen daughter has been maliciously targeted by right-wing media for being a kid, blah, blah, blah. But from all I can tell, MK is a trooper. She is also from a political family. You want to up it to $100,000? Because I'm game, but I can cover it.
Let's just go back to 100.
Would you like to pay me $100 now, or do you want to wait till he announces?
No, I'm going to wait.
Oh, you're going to wait. Okay, all right.
And he may announce that he's going to run, then later on drop out and let Juliana Stratton take over.
Sure, of course. Yeah. I know. This is like, here's an idea of something that could happen coming from my head.
No, coming from my mouth. Yes.
Well, yes. I'm going to invent. I'm going to invent.
I'm not inventing.
No. He could get hit by a meteor. That's possible too.
Okay, wait. What if there's
an
extra extemporaneous situation that happens? Do I still get the $100?
What if
he gets sick or something? Oh my God, we shouldn't even.
No, if he chooses not to run again,
then you are going to give me $100.
Right.
Hey, Dan and Amy, I've got a bigger question, though. Does it matter, right? That when you look at the maps they've created, the Supreme Court maps,
the
amount of powers, the union power they've given the unions in the amendment, does it matter who runs on the Democratic side in the near term?
He's got a 58% approval rating. That just tells you everything you know. It doesn't matter. People don't care in this state. The majority. By the way, the right track, wrong track, it's 40-60 wrong track. That number used to be 15-85 right track versus wrong track. Now it's 40-60. This majority of the electorate is driving that, hey, things are getting better. I mean,
he made it
by every metric, things have gotten worse than Illinois was pre-pandemic, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, this is what's just so laughable. This is like, if you think that what you're thinking as a sensible, common sense, center-right person is where the majority is going and they're so upset about these lockdown policies, then you're just not looking at the numbers. You need to ask yourself how thick your bubble is, sister and brother.
Yeah, Dan, what is interesting is that, and you're right about that on that Ogden and Fry poll that I was just looking at, and you see the good numbers for Pritzker. You're right about this, direction of the state. There's some silver lining, though, when they're starting to pass some things that I think are going further and further from the population, and over time, will it wake them up or not? That's what we've been waiting on for a long time. It hasn't seemed to work yet, but it's this sex education bill they passed. Most people, especially the older people, are absolutely against it. The younger crowd, all for it, and so I think it'll be a question of how that dynamic plays out between the young and the old over time.
Well, you're right. So those are 70% issues. 70% of the population is opposed to the component parts of that sex education bill when they are told what's in it. But here's the problem, Ted. We've talked about this for eons. Who's going to make the argument besides, us on this talk show, or some one-off groups or one-off parents groups or just one-off conservatives around the state? There's no opposition party And there's certainly, to the extent that it exists on paper, there's nobody willing to take up that cause. Maybe Darren Bailey. He's about the only one I've heard speak to moral issues. I mean, who's actually a candidate for governor, a candidate for something substantial. They don't want to make arguments on cultural issues because they're too scaredy cat. So what's the point? Where's it going to come from?
I think that's right. That's why they keep getting away with passing all these bills. Nobody stood up yet. And I think that we just finished a legislative session, and that's kind of my takeaway, is that they got away with passing anything they wanted. The opposition was weak, or it wasn't there. Certainly the debate wasn't there, and of course the maneuvers the Democratic Party used with passing bills at the last moment, and super majorities will become super majorities after this map making process. So it's we're kind of locked in for a while until things get so bad that the chaos ensues, but God knows how long that takes.
All right, so this Friday, 6/11, people are so excited. Everyone's going to be free. We're going to be back to normal, except for our school children who are still in class. Chicago Public Schools, I know you guys are done, but still in class only 2 days a week, and everyone's masked all the time. And how the heck are we going to get off this exit ramp?
Yeah, you're seeing everybody start to relax all these mask mandates, and it's pretty interesting. I was down in Florida, as we guys know, a couple of months ago, and nobody was wearing masks, or most people weren't wearing masks. Well, it's starting to look like that more and more here, maybe less so in Chicago, but it's starting to happen. And yet in our schools where the kids who run virtually no risk at all, and where most of the 65 and older adults in Illinois are now vaccinated, why are we continuing to mask them? It's time to let that go and just let the kids be kids and let them start to live the life that they should be living.
Speaking of Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis appeared at the 2021 Pepsi Gulf Coast Jam in Panama City Beach,
awesome.
Country music festival featuring Leonard Skinner, Luke Bryan, and Brad Paisley. And here's what DeSantis had to say to the 22,000 in attendance.
The largest concert since the pandemic. And the only reason we're doing that is because Florida chose freedom over Fauciism.
Over Fauciism?
Florida chose freedom over Fauciism, Ted. Illinois has chosen Fauciism over freedom.
That's absolutely true, and we've seen that for the whole time. It's DeSantis is being bold, and it's great to see him. Take look at the data, look at the science, and that's what we put out a piece yesterday or this morning about removing the mask mandate in schools. And if you look at the data, it's so clear. And I think DeSantis is one of the few guys, and Florida is one of the few states that actually looks at the data and makes decisions based on that, not on Fauciism or just fear, which is really what's been the driver in Illinois. Fear.
New IRS data out. You and your colleague John Klingner memorialized over at wirepoints.org. IRS data as to Illinois' outmigration. People seem to think things are getting better. Maybe that's because people who do look at data, like their own personal financial data, are leaving for greener pastures.
Yeah, the IRS proved what we've been saying all along, is that people keep fleeing Illinois, and we're the number 3 worst in losing people to other states in the country in 2019, and we are the worst when it comes to losing their incomes. So as a percentage of all the income that Illinois has, we lost the biggest percentage of income. People are leaving, and they're taking all their money with them, and they're going to places like Florida and Tennessee and everywhere else, and it adds up year after year after year. So these guys can keep passing bad laws, but the people who can do math or do data or look at opportunity and look over the borders and say, hey, there's better life out there, they're leaving, and it'll add up over time.
Do you think the census numbers were cooked a little bit? I mean, do you think that Illinois lost more population than it was recorded as having lost by the census numbers that came out?
Well, it's hard to say. What I do know is that Pritzker spending nearly $50 million on getting the count may have just done a better job of counting, so we weren't comparing apples to apples. So, if you spend tons of money and try to get your census count up in 1 year, it's going to make the other years look bad. So I think they just damaged the comparison base. So things are bad in the IRS numbers, which isn't some kind of survey. That's hard numbers from tax returns, shows us that we're still losing about 80,000 people a year.
Speaking of finances, man, that CTU spokesman, Chris Giovannis, he has stones that are Raiders of the Lost Ark size.
Wow.
Regarding this walkout by teachers from Chicago Urban Prep. These
the charter
schools founded by our friend Tim King, Inglewood, Bronzeville, and West campuses. First public charter high school for boys, black children, black young men, young boys, and
100% go to college
since 2006. 30% of the students are special needs. Listen to what Giovannis, the CTU spokesman, said. The charter school network has a long track record of financial mismanagement, including having missed payroll twice. Boy, the CTU talking about an organization that has a long track record of financial mismanagement is breathtaking. But here's the thing. That's a startup, and Tim King had to raise the money, and then he got some taxpayer money, too, like charter schools do, and he raises money every year, because I participate in these poker tournaments that support his school, his schools, plural. But this ultimately is the problem with charter schools, is that you still are not out of the reach of the Chicago Teachers Union.
Well, that's been my biggest complaint about charters, and people love to talk about charters, and I'm supportive of charters as one of those things. But they are, as you see, the unions are getting their hold on them now. It's funded by public dollars, so it's like you say, one step away from a public school, a normal public school, and it's still controlled by Lightfoot, still controlled by state policy, still controlled by, you see the unions getting in. The real solution is school choice and vouchers or education savings accounts. As long as we have charters only as an option, it's not enough because it's being infiltrated.
And the good news on that is that there was a year extension on the sunset to the tax credit scholarship. So the proponents there, led by the trades, did a good job of coalition building to work around the socialists in charge of the state and save that program.
Yeah, they did, but now the fight just moves to next year. It'll be a political year, so we'll see how well we can manage that. But the goal is to grow it and extend it, and have more and more kids, have that option of scholarships, and not this where they can keep striking on our kids.
Ted Dabrowski, president of Wirepoint, wirepoints.org. Ted, thanks as always.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, it's Terry Melodic. Insurance agents prepare policies, but at Heil & Heil, we deliver great rates with expert personalized service for home, auto, business, and life. Get a free no-obligation review of your current policy today at heilandheil.com. That's HeilandHeil.com. Or call us at 847-866-7400 and discover why we've been a Chicago institution for over 100 years.